Yes, I've changed the name. I changed the name to what I do mostly. I thought it would be more appropriate. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-da-da-da. Tiro-te-tre-ro. Okay, what are we actually playing? Let me find out. We're playing mostly two chords in the left hand to start with. So we're in G flat major. What did I do wrong? So what's wrong with me? Okay, never mind. Let's say we are in D flat major. Is that really right? What am I playing? I'm playing E flat. And the blues in the left hand. What is the parent major scale of what we're doing? We're a little bit modal, and we're mostly in the blues, and we play some diminished six. I will explain that in a second if you're interested. But what is our parent major scale? I'm a little bit confused. Maybe I'm changing in between. I would say we are in D flat major. That sounds like D flat major to me. Okay, so we got D flat. That's our 1. B flat, that's our 2. F is our 3. G flat is our 4. A flat 5. B flat the 6. And did I do something wrong? C is our 7. If I say some nonsense, somebody stop me. And we change into diminished. Let's do one thing. Yes, some E flat. Actually, I had really big ambitions for today's stream. I was listening to a couple of renditions of Errol Garner. I even prepared a Spotify jam, and then I thought I may not be up to the challenge. I actually wanted to start a longer series on really how do we construct scales? How do we construct chords? And how can we I'll do that diminished thing again. Let's it was some E flat in there, but not entirely. I think we were in D flat major. Like just shifted one tone to the left. Okay. Then we say this is basic harmony. Okay. Let's get a new block for this. Am I loud enough? Because I'm using my microphone arm also to hold my webcam that is doing the overhead shot. So I'm not speaking directly into the microphone, otherwise I would have to look upwards. But I hope I'm loud enough. Okay, cool. So let's get busy with some basic harmony. I believe probably the best way to start, and a couple of stuff that you have most likely seen a ton of videos on, maybe sometimes, maybe not. But anyway, let's start this nice and simple. Maybe I even have some notes from a previous stream that I did where I wanted to prepare this. But long story short, in our musical alphabet, let's say we play a major scale. And boy, oh boy, have we heard that. And we surely did practices before we started to look at music theory, if we have. And let's try to make it practical and demystified. I'm not a guru myself. If somebody is very knowledgeable out there and I say rubbish, you are very welcome to help and stop me. But first things first, we will be playing C major first. Just nice and simple. Let's get a click on. That is always helpful. I believe in playing first and understanding second. Because if it's just theoretical, it will lead nowhere anyway. Because you want to do music with this in the end. Okay, what is happening there? We are playing C major up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have, hold up a second. How can we make this better? Maybe like so. I hope this is still big enough. Or I can make it different. Hold up. What is the best way to do this? First, I need to switch off this weird filter. That is doing what? Yeah. Now that's not big enough. Okay, let's switch to the other side. Or no, I think we do this more practical. I'll write that stuff down if a need should be. How can we construct a major scale? How to construct major scale. Let's go back to this view. That's better. Okie dokie. To construct a major scale, if we look at this piano, all the notes that are next to one another have the same distance. And what makes all this work is really learning about intervals. Intervals is the distance between one key to the next. This distance will determine the quality or character of your note material, if you will interpret as major or minor, and that's just an arbitrary name. If we sing modes where we will get into, it is just a color. It's like blue, it's like beige, whatever. A scale, and it's is really just a color that you can use. And sort of the formula to get to this color is by reconstructing these interval patterns, because your brain is just a perfect machine to analyze patterns. It is actually a very often used analogy, because I wouldn't even know, like, names often don't really help, especially when they are very foreign. Like, the name of the modes are very uncommon unless you had some Latin or whatnot. And even then, it is not really. So let's get back before I'm shifting focus to bed. To construct a major scale, when we play the piano, we will start learning on C major firstly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we get back to our home key. So the center of gravity, that is also a very often used analogy, is our note C. But it could be any other note. But we will stick with this example. This shall be our parent scale. If we examine how to make up the scale, that is the note C, D, E, F, and G. Hold up, do I have something better? Where's this? Copy this into this other. Paste reference. Yes, please do. And so, music theory. Yeah, I hope I'm not making this too confusing. But so, let me get sorted. Oh, no, I'm writing too much bullshit. This should be a memory card. Major scale or Ionian mode. I'll just put that out there. It is just a name. It is nothing other than that. So let's look at the note material. Our note material, that just sounds fancy. We're gonna write down just the letter names that we have. We have C, we have D, we have E, F, G, A, B, and then we get back to where we started. That's all nice and beautiful. But why do we do this? Because we want to make a comparison line. Let's try to abstract what's happening there with these arbitrary letters, and let's put that into a numbers game. It will be so beneficial. Stick with me with this. So this will be our parent scale, the major scale, we are going to refer to these notes as one. The one we will call root or tonic. We could also, yeah. Anyway, we're going to number these. It is very practical to number this because you probably are familiar or have heard things like chord progressions, especially in the context of jazz, where you just get a couple of random numbers in Roman numerals. They're gonna show you like a 2-5-1. And what's that gonna mean? It means like play the chord that starts on note number 2. We're gonna get into how we build chords in a second. So I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm not doing this very well. Please stop me if I'm losing anybody. Because I really wanna, because I know how goddamn long I've been struggling with this, watching humongous, ridiculous amount of YouTube videos over and over again with the same content until it clicked. Okay, so we are numbering our notes, and we can then start to think about if we want to transpose. That will be very practical, but also we will use this as a memory utility to see how we can make that up. Okay, let's continue. What else can we find out about our major scale? Let's analyze how all these notes relate to our home key, the tonic or the root, C. And we will measure the amount of tones that we need to travel to get to our interval. Let's say how big is the interval between our first note and our second note? A whole tone. So we going to travel from our root key, a whole tone, and to our third we travel another whole tone. We are going to do this in semitones too, but I like this. These are very common ways it is written down. You will find it very often. So how do we construct this major scale? If we look at it and we're just counting from our 1 to our 2, it's going to be 2 steps. So we got root or tone, 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 semitone, because one black key is missing. And then it continues with tone, tone, semitone, tone. So we have a sequence of, we get a whole step, we go a whole step, 3 whole steps, then 1 half step, then 3 whole steps, and a half step, and then the sequence is complete. So let's look at this, writing down numbers that will refer to the amount of semitones, because that will also be super important, because often there is something called, when you look at sheet music, like when you look at chordy, you're gonna find out like, hold up, where is these black notes? The black notes are only like on the music stuff. If you put some extra letters there, there's a thing called, like, you have just the generic notes. Like on the staff, you could only represent without accidentals. So that's what they called, these flats and sharp signs. You could only portray the white notes. The black notes would be in between. The generic intervals are not enough to qualify for what kind of chord quality it be, because like if you look at it, and we're going to learn a couple of names, what these intervals are called, like this very not so nice sounding tension loaded interval, that is our root note and the note next to it, is called a minor second. It is the distance of one note. the distance of these two is called a major second. And that's also a pretty biting sound. Distance of our root to our third would be called a major third. It consists out of 4 semitones, 1, 2, 3, 4. But I'm jumping around somewhat arbitrarily. Let's continue our analysis with these Roman numerals, with the numbers. So we have our root or 0. Let's call it R better. This is our root. We are going 2 tones, semitones that is, or half steps. Then we, so the root 1, 4, 4, and 5. I'm gonna try to speed this up because I'm quite sure you all can count. If we just match these and count, we can just write down this pattern. Please let me know if I'm making sense or if I'm making it unnecessarily hard or confusing. Okay, 7, 9, and 11, right? Did I miss something? So we get our root. We go 2 tones to our second note. We go another 2 to our third note. We go a half step to our fourth. We go a whole note to our 5. We go a whole note to our 6, a whole note to our 7, and then we back. So 0, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11. This is how we can always construct a major scale. So every time, if we want to construct a major scale, we can either use the formula whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, 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 half tone, tone, tone. Sorry. Tone, 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 half tone, 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 half tone, tone. I'm sorry. Tone, 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 half tone, 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 half tone. That is how we get there. Why is this helpful? Well, if we know this, we know already a whole lot that can be learned and understood. I'm going to disable this note overview and we continue. So let's look at this again. In our example C major, we start with C, D, E, F, G, A, B, back to our tonic. We're gonna look at it again with building chords. So, like, why is this so important? Basic harmony. If we learn that we can make a scale of, if we just build a sequence of tone, 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 half tone, 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 half tone, and we know, oh, this is always a major scale, no matter in what key we do this. That is very powerful to know, but let's keep going. Also, what is very important to know, and probably one thing that is one of these nuggets that you will find always, I only told half the truth. Not only do we find C major with this, but like say, in every key, there's really 2 keys. Because there's always a parent major scale that has a parallel minor scale. This is super important. The parallel scales. You may have heard this. If you want to find I hope I'm spelling correctly. You can always find the minor scale, like, because I'm quite sure you have noticed this. Like, let's listen to this. This sounds very C majorish. Let's start this let's start this on the 6th note. Exactly. This is the best way to let's start our sequence not on our root or on our 0 or C. Let's start it on our 6. And I will also add one more thing because this is important and we will get there anyway. That is these fancy Roman numeral analysis. Don't get frightened by this not so handy chunk of words. Roman numerals. It will make sense in a second. Let me sort my brain. It will all come together. I wanted to have made a video of this, but I suck at video editing, so we do this now. If we are going, I'm going to do this quick and then I'm going to explain why I do that. So, no. So in Roman numeral analysis, that is super practical and used in jazz and anywhere. We can also display our functional harmony, another fancy word, by using Roman numerals. And they are very powerful because they help you recognize instantly not only what, like, say, if you see is something like a 2-5-1, not only what the chord progression is, you will know already because it is case sensitive. If you find a capital case Roman numeral, it will tell you that the chord that you are to build on that scale degree, that's also what it's called, like 1, 2, 3, 4, the first scale degree, the root, the second scale degree, the second. It will tell you what kind of quality it is the chord has. Capital case Roman numeral refers to a major chord. A lowercase Roman numeral will let you know that the chord, the diatonic chord, another fancy word, I can write all that down, I will. The diatonic chord that you build on the first scale degree of a major scale is always a major chord. How do we make up a major chord? Let's analyze our interval patterns. So let's look at it. We have our root, R or 0. And then we go to E. What is E? E is our third scale degree. But how many semitones is that away? It is 4 semitones away, or a major third. And then we have a third note to complete our triad for C major. That is F, our 5th note, or the 5th scale degree. How many notes is that away? That's 7. So every time we can say, like, a major chord, to make like a little math equation kind of thing, is like our root plus a major third for, I'm going to type this in the chat, 4 semitones plus a perfect 5th or 7 semitones. Or another way to look at it, the first interval of a major triad is a major third, and the interval between the middle note and the top note is a minor third. So you could also say a major triad, 3 notes, is constructing a major third plus a minor third. Isn't that beautiful? And you know what? Let's think about the reverse. What happens if we build a minor third first and then a major third? Does it sound familiar? Ooh, it sounds minor. How did that happen? Okay, but we get there. Let's complete our Roman numeral analysis to conclude this fast, and then there's not this empty gap in our notes. I'm really bad at multitasking. I'm a one-trick pony. So our 2 chord, I'm going to write this in a lowercase. Why do I do that? If we are constructing the diatonic chord, so okay, sorry. If we are constructing chords, or the diatonic chords on, that means building chords on each respective scale degree. So we have 7 chords in C major. First we have C major, then we have D minor, then we have E minor, we have F major, we have G major, we have A minor, we have B diminished, and back to our 1. Let's write that down. And then we think about why this is so helpful. Let's get there. So our 1 chord, C major, our first diatonic chord on the first scale degree. We're going to move to our second note and build the second diatonic chord, which is D minor. You may have already recognized the pattern. We are building these diatonic chords always leaving out every other note, like basic harmony, really. Seriously, if you want to show someone how to play or fake playing the piano, let him play C major, basic harmony. Stacking thirds. A third is what we were referring to earlier, like this interval, for instance, or this interval. The one was major. We're just skipping every other note, and we can really instantly find yeah, it is. Let's listen to this. Let's say we want to fake a beginner's jazz. We will go back to our triads, but let's say we want to be fancy and we want to have a 3-minute briefing to show someone how to supposedly play jazz piano. We will tell him, we play only the white notes. You have in your left hand pinky on your 1, your middle finger on the 3rd note, skipping 1 note, skipping a note, and skipping a note. And then you will move this shape just up and down or arbitrarily, however you feel, and your right hand is free then to do. Because listen to this. We don't know anything yet, but it already is musical just by law of nature and acoustics. Let's practice, for instance, these two-handed arpeggios. This is a very good basic hand warming exercise. Both hands will mirror each other exactly. So we will have another chord. We were first looking at triads, but because now that we are skipping a little bit around, faking jazz, and just to encapsulate the idea of we can make some basic functional harmony that is not too dissonant. There is a lot of beauty in more crunchy things, but let's keep this simple first. So skipping every other note, we can get away. And we have heard this forever and ever and ever. And intuitively, this is probably what we happen to play very often. So let's say we will play a pseudo jazz blues soul thing in C major, playing our diatonic chords. First, we have C major 7. We build that, our first, a major third, a perfect fifth, and a major seventh. And we will just skip. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna stick in a 1, 2. We're going to play our 1 chord and our 2 chord. So we got. And we could play really arbitrarily any kind of notes in our right hand, really. Okay. And like, seriously, this is why I think scale practice is so amazing, because we are really just going up and down the scale, and we will get bored of this very soon, and then we will find motive and themes. We're just chopping up random notes, kind of. This is how we can really kind of instantly learn how we could improvise. Skipping every other note for our left hand comping. And we don't have to play them in a sequence. We could say like, ooh, we want to go play jazz. We're going to play a 2-5-1. For instance, what does that mean? We are going to our 2 chord in C major, that is D. Starting on the 2, we got our root, a minor third, a perfect fifth, and a minor seventh. And then we go to our 5, for instance. So back to our 1. That would be like a basic way to do it. Maybe not the most beautiful way, but that is like the thing in a nutshell. But let's complete our analysis here. So let's go back to our triads, because triads are easy to look at. Our first chord is our diatonic chord is C major. 1, 2, 3. Our second is D minor. That starts on the second note. And then we have our minor third and our major third. So let's next. Next is E minor, starting on a 3 degree. We are already here. Ooh, that's minor 2. Why is that minor again? It is also built exactly like the chord before. It is the root note of that chord plus a minor third, that is the character note. And then we have another. And then we have another major third. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, let's go to our next chord, our 4 chord. What is that? There's this F major. So we are going to be using the capital case Roman numerals again to note the quality of this degree is a major chord in our progression. The functional harmony on scale degree 4 is a major chord. That's what it tells us. That's what we want to know. What's next? Next is a very important one. It is the 5 chord. It is probably the chord we play most often next to our 1. It is the most consonant. And we want to go back and forth between those two. We could. And a lot of music is just written like that. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so our 6th chord, sorry, I don't want to lose anybody. Let's keep focus. Our next chord is the 6th chord. What is the 6th chord? What kind of quality does this chord have, is what I mean. It is, again, the root of the chord A, our 6th note in the scale of C major. Then we have C. The interval between A and C is a minor third, and also A is the start of our parallel minor scale, because if we start playing a major scale on the 6th note, or starting 3 notes below, 1, 2, 3, da da da, we will find the parallel minor scale of our major key. And also that is something we hear very often. We hear the 1, and then we hear the 3. Major, minor, major, minor, major, minor, parallel scales. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's write down, before it gets ridiculous, let's write down in lowercase Roman numerals. Let's write down a small 6. Okay, what's next? Next is the fancy chord. It is what? It is our 7th chord. What's happening there? And what is dim? Dim is short for, yes, you guessed that right, it's short for diminished. A diminished chord is the best chord. Let me tell you, this is not nonsense. It is just objectively the best chord. Let nobody tell you differently. It is the best chord. Whatever kind of diminished chord you can make, it will be best. Seriously. I will be spending the next 30 years speaking about diminished chords. I'm quite sure of that. Let's not try to do this all today. Let's build our chord and think about it. What is our 7th chord before we get back to our tonic? It is called diminished. How do we construct a diminished chord? It is a symmetrical chord. It is stacking 2 minor thirds on top of one another. Before, we had our major chord, which was a major third plus a minor third, and we had our minor chord, a minor third plus a major third, major, minor, and now we learn diminished is yet just another version of these stacking thirds, and the diminished quality is achieved by stacking 2 minor thirds. could go on for this forever. We could play arpeggios forever and we wouldn't even know what key we're in. Like with diminished chords are magical. You hear this often in like cinematic composition. They are somewhat floating. Also, let's write this down. Our seventh chord is a diminished chord, is also a version of a minor chord, but to also and note that there is the specific quality. We will make a little circle that's indexed. This is also a way how you can often find it in textbooks. Sometimes it will be written just as 3 letters in smaller case, dim, but you can find the circle too. Oh, sorry, that was a star. I mean this circle, you will find that also, just for your information. Also, maybe let's take 2 or 3 minutes. I'll get some more water. And you don't have to remember everything instantly. I'll get some water fast and come back to you. And then when we continue this, because this is very, very, very good to know. Like, you don't have to be able to use the super fast. Like, I'm not a concert pianist myself. I cannot look at a sheet of music and just play that. I'm reading as slow as a 4th grader. Like, I can decipher that, but I'm not fluent. What I did most was like practicing scales in the first years. Actually, I wanted to start the stream learning Misty from Errol Garner. I even prepared a Spotify jam. I think I still have the link in yeah, the link is still in copy and paste. Yeah, let's take 5. I'm losing focus. Okay, I gotta take 5. And you should too, because I was babbling for quite some time and that was a lot and not that perfectly structured. So let's take some water and a couple of steps and regroup. Okay. All right. All right, all right, all right. Okay, let's recap. We have learned that we can play a major scale by starting on a root note. In our example, we used C major. Or A major, it's parallel minor scale. And we analyzed what kind of relationship is in between every key as an interval in respect to our home key. Then we also analyzed and defined certain sonic qualities about certain intervals. Like, we recognize this as minor. Just a sound. When what we feel is whatever we feel. Everybody will have a different connotation. and feeling to. How does major make me feel? I don't know. Often the common description would be like major, grand, stable, and minor would be dark, gloomy, sad, whatever. But you feel what you feel. Like, let's not make a semantic seminar out of this. It is just fucking words. We had to play some music. I need to watch my language and refrain from cursing. No need for that, sorry. So, we learned that by looking closely at what kind of intervals we play, we get to color our sound. The interval will define what color the music is that we are producing. We learned that we can build a chord on every scale degree. They are called the diatonic chords in functional harmony. And functional harmony, because the function they have in relationship to our home key. Like there's atonal music, but we're not going there. We learned that we can play a diatonic chord of any scale by skipping every other note. For C major, we have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. And then we get back. I want to also note another thing that is very important to know. Chords, inversions, and voicings. Sometimes these will be used arbitrarily. If let's look at C major, for example. Maybe you've heard of this, but like, if we look at C major, we would refer this exact C major as C major in root position, because we have our root note C major. The sequence is like textbook. It is like the archetype. Then we have our third E and our fifth G. But we could play an inversion of C major. What does that mean? We can arrange these notes in a different order and get a different voicing or a different inversion. It's basically the same chord. It has a somewhat different sonic quality, but principally, thinking about it from functional harmony, we will interpret, our ears will interpret as pretty much the same. If I play C major like so, doesn't really matter. Wherever I play this on the keyboard, it will sound pretty much the same. Some will sound a little bit more open, some will sound a little bit more closed. But in the context of that we are writing Western music in 12 tones, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Like our musical system is divided into steps of 12 notes and could include the octave, like, then it is the same frequency, just double its pitch or half its pitch in relation, if you want to go into that physics thing. But the thing about inversion is they make things very beautiful. We will be looking at inversions and voicing them most. Because if you look at the jazz lead sheet, that's also what it's called. Give me a second, I'll show you. Maybe some of you are familiar with something like this. This is the real book. I really bought it. If you are into jazz, you know it was infamous back in the day. Music students copied material from the Great American Songbook, standards. There's a myriad of iterations. A lot have very questionable note material. The key changes from edition to edition. I can count the number of key changes that I just found before I went on stream, and I really originally titled the stream Misty. That's still what's open right now. And I was listening to Errol Garner. If you go on the Spotify Jam, that's what would have been playing. But we're going to do Misty another time, I think. Unless that is, I feel super motivated to jump into this today. I think that one of the things like a breakthrough or an epiphany is the mention that diminished chords is the best chord. Well, the diminished chord is funky and fancy because looking at it from functional harmony, this chord is somewhat unstable. Like if we listen to other chords, they could be there on its own, but if we still have the memory of our tonality, our home key, listening to our 7 chord, it just cries to go up one more step. It is just like it is the prelude, and also the 7th note is called the leading tone in music theory too. The subtonic, the leading tone, because it is kind of just gluing the way back to the tonic. It is hard to stay there. Like if you were trying to sing a major scale like C, D, E, F, G, A, B. If we stop on the 7th note, like I really encourage you, start singing a major scale and try to hold on remaining on the 7th. It is hard to stay on the 7. You want to resolve it somewhere, most likely to the 1. The cadence, like down, down. We could listen to a plagal cadence, which would be a 1-4. What is 1-4? What the heck am I talking about? Let's go back to the notes we were just taking. Our functional harmony. 1-4 would be going from our root to the 4th note. In our example, this is going from C to F. Down, down, down. That is kind of much easier to sing, like da, 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 da. That sounds like absolutely resolved, but from like it feels, I don't know, it feels whimsical, if that's the right word. You know what I mean? It's hard to remain on this. And that is why you can use diminished chords like crazy in chromatic approaches. Like say you want to get to a certain chord, and how to get there. Often you can glue your way there. They were not all diminished chords, but you can really find ways to connect chords with diminished chords using some chromatic lines in between that makes everything so connected. Like another thing about this, why inversions are big, another term that you heard often is like voice leading. And we just coming back to our concept actually with the 7 that is called the leading tone. What is voice leading? Back in like ancient times, maybe I'm wrong, but I think where it comes mostly from is Greek Roman music back then, like the church modes. The idea was back then they had mostly vocal music, of course some instrumentals, but like harmony and voice leading mostly refer to vocal ensembles and the way you can arrange the voices, because like what you can do in a piano may not necessarily be very musical to sing. You could play weird intervals that nobody would ever sing. If we think about the human voice, it kind of really moves around 1, 2 octaves, and a melody really doesn't jump. And that is like the idea about voice leading. I'm going to take a different example. Let's take a chord progression. Let's go back to our, let's say we are going to play, just as an example, you don't have to, let's say we want to play a 2-5-1. That is one thing that you will hear so very often. Okay, how do we get there? We play the 2 chord, D minor, but as this is a jazz context, we will be playing 7th notes, 7th chords. Sorry, I can't spell chords. What does that mean? We will be adding one more third to our triad, stacking another third, and now we have a two minor 7 chord. Okay, we're going from the 2 chord to our 5 chord. That is also called dominant. The 5 chord in jazz is called dominant, the dominant chord. Let's not worry too much about terminology, but we try to get back to this idea with voicings and why they are important, and voice leading. And the thing about jazz, and when you find textbook examples, the way it is just plain written down, often it will sometimes be noted just in root position. Often you will find jazz lead sheets that barely have any data on it at all. It's questionable what people had been paying for. Like, really, people make jokes that, like, what the heck are you paying for? There's like empty staffs and like 2 scribblings, and the rest is kind of up to you. But let's see. Let's simplify again. C major, inversions. What does it mean? Inversion or voicing is another way of saying, it is another analogy is like, you know how you have synonyms in language? Semantically speaking, or in functional harmony, an inversion or a voicing, a different voicing of a chord, if we play this C major, 7, or if we play it in first inversion, doesn't make too much of a difference. You can consider an inversion of a chord like a synonym, sort of. It just adds to the vocabulary. And because you don't have to repeat kind of thing exactly the same word, you can actually get away playing very simple chord progressions, maybe a 2 chord change that sounds like so much more just by using inversions. Anyway, so the idea about this voice leading is, so we don't have to play the chords in root position, because like, let's do this with triads and then with 7s. If you want to play this 2-5-1, 2 chords, 5 chord, 1 chord, yeah, it's fine. But thinking about like from the human voice and voice leading, it is somewhat unnatural. It's not completely crazy, but also if we want to simplify this, how could we make it so that the cadence is like the root note motion, if we just look at what is the interval that the root notes of our chords are going, we want it to kind of be not too big of a distance. Well, that is kind of often considered good voice leading as a rule of thumb because it's easier to sing. It's much easier to sing a melody like la 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 la. You get that? Then la la la. You know, like I'm kind of exaggerating it, but it is kind of hard to make these jumps. And if we play this 2, 5, and then we get to our 1, it's murky. How could we make it so that we don't have to jump around so much, but we keep the instruction sort of, and we play our chord progression? But let's do this maybe in a different way. How can we achieve that? This is our 2 chord and this is our 5 chord. Let's see what happens if we invert one of these chords. That is just moving one note an octave up or down, just changing the order. Let's see if by doing that we could get them closer together. So our 2 chord and our 5 chord in root position. Let's invert our 2 chord into its first inversion. Now we have the 3rd in the bottom, F, the 5 in the middle, and our root at the top. Let's look at that. Now that we have shifted our whole pattern already a minor 3rd, our 2nd chord is now just a small step away. We don't have to play this anymore. We get to play this. We only have to change but 2 notes and we can leave our hands stationary. I'll play with my pinky on the 4, that is F, ring finger on A, and then D that we inverted 1 octave higher. That is our 2 chord, or the 1st chord in our progression. We could just stay here, 2, switching into the 5. That is now just a change away. We can just change stationary. Isn't that cool? That is what voice leading does. It brings them closer together. Before we have this. But now we have this. Okay, but we don't want to jump back to C. Let's do the same trick about inversions. Let's see how we could invert it so we might be satisfied. Let's see, we could try that out. We could play 1, 2. But I don't really like this inversion. Let's invert it one more time. Okay, so we could play 1, 2. We could play, this is 2, 5, and so now that could be something like let's try another inversion. Let's see. I don't know. Maybe we stick with these inversions. So we have our 2 chord, D minor over F, going to our 5 chord, G, going to our 1 chord. 2, that would be kind of like a way how we can start thinking about if we look at sheet music and want to try to learn how to play that, how we can get there. So let's get back to this, but with seventh chords. Also, like with everything, basically arithmetic. If you have three elements in a set, the number of permutations you can arrange these material in groups of three is, this is one, this is two. So there's two versions of this. First, so like basic version, first inversion or first permutation, second inversion or second permutation. And if we had seven chords, so a chord with another note and added seventh, we would have one more inversion, because with elements of four, the combinatorics is one invert root, second, and backward. So this is our seventh chord in root position. This is our second chord in its first inversion. Second, and then back. Okay. I hope it made sense so far. I'm not quite sure where we stopped or where I stopped mentally. Hope everything is making still sense so far. I'm not sure if I'm over-explaining certain things and under-explaining others. Because like I can see you and don't know what you know, and you know. So about this general concept of how can we use this information to not be just bulky cocktail party wisdom that we can use to impress our other Voodoo intellectual friends. Let's try to make music with that and connect this information with what we can use it for in the context of our playing, production, whatever. So as I said, I wanted to practice actually really getting better at music theory, especially reading music, because I'm a hell of a slow reader. And if you practice your scales in jazz, it's not too terrible. If you find your way around, it's no problem, because I don't know how visible this is. And also, I don't even know if I have the right. I need to research that, because I was thinking of scanning this page and putting in as a source, but I'm not 100% sure if that wouldn't be copyright infringement. But as we are sort of a class of music, so to speak, and I really bought this copy. I mean, I used to have, of course, a downloaded copy of the real book years back that I never read. I couldn't read music back then, but I was ambitious. If we were looking at these lead sheets, and trying to play that, I would basically usually start just by looking at it note by note and finding something that sounds musical. Oftentimes, if I really want to play a standard or so, I only learn a couple of these changes, and then I'll do scale practice like madman, and I'll learn some voicings, but I usually never have the patience to really, really learn the melody, which is kind of a crime. That's why I'm a slow reader, because I learned to cheat. have pretty good relative. I don't have perfect pitch, but I have pretty good relative pitch, and connected with enough stubbornness and muscle memory, you can get really a long way. But I encourage you to join me while I will also try to be teaching myself what I'm trying to be teaching you. Kind of like you're just witnessing me attempting to teach myself some music theory. I'm in the same boat with you, you know. Maybe I'll have been doing this a little bit longer, but I'm also a little bit. I know how it feels to be lost in this weird jungle. But let's make that simple. So let's learn a couple. Okay, let's do some practical exercises, and then take a break. And maybe I should just sleep afterwards because my schedule is not really healthy or maintainable. But let's do something practical so we don't fall asleep when I'm yapping too much. Okay. So we have started with C major. Let's recap real quick. We learned that a major scale is a 7-tone scale that is built by a sequence of whole step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And we learned that using exactly the same note material, just starting on the 6th degree of the major scale or a minor third below the tonic, that would be the complementary interval. Oh, this is maybe an important one. It is basically the same thing about intervals and inversions. Complementary intervals. Like say, let's look at an octave and let's use an arbitrary interval. If we invert this interval, we get the complementary interval for the octave, of course, then. So this is interesting to know. Like, this is why starting on the 6th scale degree of a major scale is, if we played that sequence from there, or saying starting 3 semitones below the tonic, 1, 2, 3, is the same thing, because a minor third, if you play the octave and play the interval, a minor third is the parallel interval to the 6th. Yeah, like if you invert, okay, long story short, if you invert a major third, a minor third, in the scale, that is, not if you just put it there. Sorry, I hope I'm not losing anybody. If you invert this, you have. Yeah, I'll continue. Sorry, I don't know where I'm stumbling here. Scales to practice. We will practicing the major scale. Like, we'll play it first with one hand. Also, don't just stay in one octave. You can do it with 2 octaves. And of course, we can do this either staccato or legato. This is like the basic warm-up that I recommend anybody to do with whatever instrument is yours. Like, it doesn't have to be the piano. Like, but this can be applied with anything. Maybe not the hand motion, but that will be however it is for your instrument. But you know what I mean. So then we learned we can play these so-called diatonic chords by leaving out every other note. Or we could, and that is also a good practice, let's play our triads, but let's play them. That's actually a really good exercise, and classical pianists are the true masters of this. Like, play your arpeggios. Let's play our triad C major. Let's do this slow, and let's do this without a click first, because it's about our motor skills first, and then we'll try to practice that with a click. But maybe I'm not gonna practice with a click on stream too much. It's about demonstrating the concept, and everybody just practice in a comfortable tempo. Actually, always practice, and this is a mistake I often do too much. I don't practice slow enough. You can never practice too slow. Try to practice painfully slow. That is actually one of the best advices I've gotten. Practice much slower than you sing. So let's play an arpeggio that is when you are not playing a chord all at once, but rather in a broken up manner. Get comfortable with these hand shapes, and we're going to make an exercise where we will play the diatonic chords. So let's move up a register. These keys are not big enough, and we're playing just an octave in our other hand first. As you can see, my hands are not really fast. I'm rusty. I need to practice too. Well, let's do it another way. Let's say we are always going to play a trill, going from our degree of our current chord to the next chord that we play. So we will be trilling between the chord that we play and the next chord that we want to go to. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Okay? I'm not gonna vocalize so much. I'm quite sure you see what's happening. I made a mistake somewhere? No? Okay. So what's really healthy to practice is trying to, let's just do our left hand, because my hand interdependence is not great. The biggest favor that you can do to yourself is don't be so comfortable like me to be stuck playing block chords mostly with your left. I cannot play really complex arpeggios or rhythms in my left and play crazy other stuff with my right. It falls apart real quick. Maybe you have noticed that. That's why we need to practice our hands separately. Or basically, whatever you do, most things are comprised out of complex things. And if it's too complicated to execute at once, break it down. Break it down into steps that are so small, they are executable. That is like the basic idea about like approaching anything, really. So let's eliminate thinking about our other hemisphere, right brain, or whatever. Just doing a scale exercise for our left hand, trying to walk in between these diatonic chords in big fashion in octaves. And we will sometimes play them as arpeggios. Sometimes staccato, that means the notes are not connected, choppy, or legato, the notes are connected, slightly overlapping. And this is a really good, nice motion to practice. It is sound harmonically and it loosens up the hands. Like, try to play this. If you have big hands, like, I'm not the guru on technique. I've watched a ton of videos, but you know how hard it is to, if you practice a motor skill, especially. I used to play basketball for a very long time, and the first years before I went and kind of wanted to learn it in the club and whatnot, and I had a coach. You learn stuff just as you go, and you can have some bad mistakes that need to be unprogrammed. So I encourage you with fingerings. Yes, there is some stuff that is like kind of common sense. Many of you are maybe familiar with the 5-finger system, where you number your hands and you sum the one, and then you go consecutively 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the other hand vice versa. And you would have, let's say for our example, C major, the basic fingering for the scale, C major. Also to cover this, it would be the fingers 1, the sum, 2, 3. You tuck the sum under, hit the fourth, which is F, with the sum again, and then you go the other 4 notes. Also, another interesting thing, maybe at a cocktail party of music nerds, you can also say these. A major scale, my good friend, is a tetrachord. What is a tetrachord? Just a fancy word for these 4 notes. A major scale is 2 tetrachords. The tetrachord from the 1 to the 4 and the other remaining notes. Da 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 da. I just leave that there. Tetrachord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyway, I hope I'm not overloading you. Where was I? I wish my brain was somewhat structured. Oh yeah, the fingering. So the basic fingering, also for these arpeggios, we will be using our thumb, our index, our middle finger, and our pinky. But I encourage you, just always learn methods. If you have super big hands or super small hands, Of course, these rules are just general guidelines. And also another thing is like, practice your scales starting on every scale degree, because we already found out if we start on the 6th scale degree, we play the parallel minor. So it is actually a very good idea to have different starting points, because actually, if we wanted it to be like that, as I said earlier, another way to call this, as Cordy spells it, is Ionian. The major is a mode. Ionian, this fancy word, is just a word for the mode that is C major, the interval pattern. Whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, half tone, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, half tone. But let's say there is a scale or a mode that can be built upon every scale degree. Why would it be exclusively that there's only a major and a minor scale? We could be starting playing the sequence of our note material on any arbitrary starting point, and by doing so, we will learn the parent modes. If we start playing all the white notes from C to C, we are in C major, C Ionian. I know I've said this a lot, but it's important. If we do the same thing, but starting on D, we are all of a sudden, Cordy will say, this is not C major Ionian anymore. Now we are in D Dorian. What happened there? As I'm holding down the sustain pedal, so all the notes can be interpreted together, now the tonality has shifted. D is now the root, the tonic, the gravity center, where we want to, our home key. But why does it sound different? Because the interval pattern has changed. Same like if we are just examining it. If we play our first chord, this is a major chord. But if we were starting on the 2, our first chord is not a major chord anymore, it's a minor chord. We got a different thing going on here already. Because if the first diatonic chord that I can build is different than another, then probably something else must be going on. Because this pattern has shifted. As it's not symmetrical, being broken up by these missing black notes. I hope so far so good. So to do these practical things, let's practice some diatonic arpeggios in C major first. And very often we hear them maybe also like so we're going 1, 3, 5, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to play without pedal, but I encourage you. It is pretty good exercise to strengthen your fingers and to enforce a little bit more interdependency. Try not to become too comfy with paddling. If it is possible to play an arpeggio nicely rolled without using the pedal first, try to do so. because it will enable you to play staccato and legato at the same time, you know what I'm saying? Like, because if I would be pedaling this through, then everything would be connected. I couldn't have these trills. They would all blend into another, but if we are playing without pedal, we... Okay, sorry, I'm doing something else there. I'm sorry. This was long. This was long, and I should probably make a video out of this at some point. And we don't certainly want to listen to this. So we are doing our arpeggios. And also the same thing applies here. We can play in inversions, right? That's what is happening there. Root position. One chord, first inversion, second inversion. Okay. That is really, really good stuff to do. And as I said, like, if it gets too boring, this is just for the basic stuff. This is why scale practice is good, that you will get bored soon because the brain is a pattern recognition machine, but it likes to be surprised every now and then. That's why doing this for a very long time won't fly with us. It's not funky, and it's not good. So we will be breaking that up with other stuff that is a little bit less expected. Let's pair that, maybe not by going... Let's try to make some random stuff. Sometime we may be playing the one chord, maybe straight, sometimes maybe broken. Maybe we're going to play a major 7 chord. Let's do this. Listen to this. We are always going to play a triad plus the octave and going down with the top note for the second. So we got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And we're going to repeat this pattern for our 2 chord. First we play the triad, D minor, as an octave, and then we play the minor 7. Now let me put some reverb on so it's not, so it can be even more whimsical with me doing some vocal exercises, which I also encourage you to do. You don't have to be a vocalist per se. I'm not really either, but it just helps to form a deeper connection with the music and ear training. Because if you can't sing it, you will be able to play it. Because if you can't sing it, there's a connection between your vocal cords, the motor cortex. Maybe you cannot produce it on your instrument yet, but you have already memorized the idea right. Very often, it is just a matter of taste sometimes, and maybe, of course, biologically, some notes will be out of range depending on your voice, but just sing in your range. You don't have to be pitch perfect, but sing anyway. It will help you learn the music. So we are playing our arpeggio. We play C major, going to C major 7. C major 7, sorry. Because this is also C C7, but this is a C dominant 7. This is C major 7, this is C major, and we will be going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now you know, now you know. And it's so practical because with this pattern, it is very easy to connect these chords. When we are shifting our top note, we can make it the pivot point to go back like C. We lift off. My thumb is anchored on the C as a tonic. Also, actually, this is one thing I encourage you to do. Practice different kind of groupings. Like sometimes, maybe it doesn't even need to be musical. It will be sooner or later anyway, especially if you really stick with the diatonic notes. But what I encourage you to do is try to make up various drills for your hands. Say, sometimes I would kind of like, let me turn off this reverb, sorry, I'm not singing. This is just stupid. I'm sorry for the reverb. I barely understood myself. One way I like to, say we want to practice a scale. First, we will find, say we are now in E flat, okay? Just for goodness sake. We will find our key, and then we will make up various ways how we can familiarize our hands. Some stuff that I like you to do, and maybe for you there will be other patterns that might work better. Like I never say copy what I do, because like I found some of these exercises, some is Hanon and some is really just random stuff. Just get creative. For instance, like say I want to be playing always two notes, for instance, together. I could say I want to play my major triad, but I want to play the 1 and the 5 together, and I want to play my 3 and the top together. Or I want to be doing a rhythm exercise where I'll be going like, first I will be going up in staccato, but down I will go like legato. Sorry, and I already messed up. This is a very good exercise that I'm clearly not doing enough. We will be playing, we will attempt to play, that is the right way to put it, we will attempt to play an arpeggio with two hands. And we will try to do so going up in staccato. Give your hands these missions, what they have to do. Of course, if you make their stress on your tendons and whatnot, please don't be stupid. Just stop, don't stress your hands. If you find that, because this is probably really important, we have to maybe speak a little bit about anatomy. The hand, as far as I believe to have understood this, is often called actually a marionette. It does not have muscle on its own, but rather it uses the muscles of the arm and is connected to it like a marionette, a puppet, on strings or tendons. I'm sorry, English is not my native tongue, so some words may not be correct. But just as these puppet hands get stressed, our muscles tighten up. And do not stress your tendons. If you find that your hands are getting fatigued, take a break. Don't stress it. Warm up your hands. Do not try to make weird overstretches because let's face it, we are not all Wemby or Rachmaninoff. Some people have no problem playing an octave, and some people will have quite some difficulty reaching an octave, and some people make a 13th look like a fifth, for God's sake. I've seen the guy play the piano, and I just reviewed it, and I was like, hold up a minute, what the heck is this interval that he does with his left? Like, even if I were to pull off my thumb, I couldn't play that for the life of me. So do not be crazy. One more anecdote where this is very important. Really back in the day, I'm not quite sure which famous composer it was. I believe it was Liszt. He, correct me if I'm wrong, he has destroyed his ability to play by inventing an apparatus that overstretched his tendons, damaging the tissue. In the end, he couldn't play no more because he kind of induced chronic pain of his tendons. It's insane. Be gentle to your body. Playing a musical instrument is not too distant from sport. You need to take breaks and you need to be refreshed. Because when we are tired and all that, we are sitting with a hunched back. That is also not good for posture and everything. And it will reflect everything we do. It will reflect in our mood. It will reflect in our ability to play. We are not as loose. We're going to tighten up even faster. And we can get into the circle. So when we do these exercises, especially when we're teaching ourselves and we don't really know what the heck we are doing, if your body tells you, not that we should always just try to play what's comfortable, but if you find a piano video and somebody says, you have to play it like this, or you have to play it like that, or the pinky never goes on the black key, there is no such thing. Play it how it makes the most ergonomical common sense. Yes, if you have average hands and there's everything fine and healthy with your hands, probably the average suggested fingering that you sometimes can find in sheet music will be okay, but it doesn't have to be. Like say, let's play a blues in C. In C minor, yeah? Like, I don't know, I can't count how many different fingerings I have to be playing that. I could be playing basically just with my pinky, and that's also another exercise. Let's say I want to play the blues scale, but just using 3 fingers. There's a lot of ways I could be grouping that. I could probably also just do it with 2 for most of the time. But here already I see, 3 is better. Or maybe 4 is better. And now maybe 5 is better. But if I want to go fast, it is not really, there's no golden rule to say what is the best way. The best way is the way that works well mechanically and ergonomically with your body and your instrument. That is really probably one of the most important things that I want to say about training yourself motor skills and technique, because I probably am not the authority on technique, as it is hard to judge. Like, it is why you have mirrors when you are a ballet dancer or when you're a dancer, or if you go to a Wushu center and you learn to fight, you will find very often there will be mirrors everywhere. Because why? We can see not only the student, when we are showing a group and we're standing with the back to the group, we can see the group, we can see their posture. Well, long story short, you can't see your posture unless you record it. And if you don't know if your posture or technique is good, look at some of the better videos on YouTube. If you have the chance, try to find a piano teacher just for like the very rudimentary things. Like if you play nice, play nice. If your hands don't hurt, keep playing. If your hands hurt, stop playing. And if your hand always hurt, like after 3 minutes, maybe don't try to play a trill that is in a super wonky, uncomfortable situation, you know? Like, there would be no reason why I would want to train a drill like this unless I want to have a chronic problem with my hand. So just be smart and nice to your body. Let's get back to our exercise. Our exercise is C major. Our exercise is practicing an arpeggio, where we go from C major into C major 7, and then we switch to the 2 chord. First we play the whole and the triad with the octave, and then we play this pattern: C major, C major 7, D minor, D minor 7. And we can start making some really easy, nice, beautiful music with that. Like, it's really, the harmony kind of, it is already there. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, it has always been there. One thing that I also love to say is, like, you know how archaeologists, when they find fossils and whatnot, I love to say, you do not create a melody, you find a melody. Consider like all the music in the world. It is already here. It is the sand, and finding it in there is just dusting away the sand and uncovering what has already been there. We are not inventing anything, we are finding stuff. We are not writing melodies or harmonies, we are listening to the muse. And just the basic of harmony. Let's leave out the other hand. Because I feel my left hand is clumsy, I don't practice my hands separate often enough anymore. Actually, I believe I even lost some hand interdependence. My harmonic understanding has increased, but I've neglected my mechanical drills. Never neglect your mechanical drills. It's the same like with anything. If you stop going to the gym, it will suck to go back. Try not to fall off the wagon. 15 minutes a day is a good starting point. I advise you 30. If you have the time, play at least 30 minutes. And if you really have the time, and my true honest belief, 30 minutes is kind of like the gold standard for a hobby musician, but I would try to make it an hour, because from my own experience, I believe, and that is also, practice is not really practice. It's not necessarily the same. The quality does matter. Really focused, the best to your focus. 30 minutes of practice, focus, is to not get worse or to reach a fundamental level as a beginner. But you will plateau with 30 minutes. These 30 minutes are just so you don't start to collect dust like my hand did. So we will be playing this. 1, 2, 10. Yeah, I try to do my best, yeah, I say, yeah. Yeah, I try to do my best and practice anyway. Okay, my voice is not going anywhere, but you do what you do. I'll spare you my singing because I'm really not in it today, and that's why we're going to turn off this reverb for good today. Today is not a singing day. Today is a music series day. Sorry for the singing. But you might hear me humming. I can always cut that out. And now we start making up maybe something with our hand. Say we wanted to be something. So I'm still singing again. But I just feel compelled. This is what I mean. Like, we don't have to make up something super complicated. We don't have to be Artatum. I actually like this. I could write a song with this, no problem. Let's play 2 more chords doing the same thing. We play the octave, and then we play the minor, and then we play the 7th chord. Play the triad, and then we play the 7th. But we always play 4 notes. Triad, 7th, triad, 7th, triad, 7th, triad, 7th. And you saw that? Once I started to play something complicated, I just went and down, up and down like a 4th grader. The arpeggio on my left hand just stopped. My brain said, hold up a minute, we didn't practice. We're going to play block chords because we don't want to miss a bar or so. Be tripping up, doing the tuck under. Practice your arpeggios. You have no idea how much your musical brain will love you to have practiced your arpeggios. And don't hack them like I do. Play it with love. Always, whatever you do, play with love. And I'm doing something wrong here. Okay, maybe one more thing that I want to say about fingering. Yes, I'm not an expert, but like if you look online, and one of the first things you will also find many of these guidelines, they will have a fingering to it. Very often or common for a 4 chord, for a chord that has 3 notes, very basic, we use 5, 3, and 1, or 1, 3, and 5. That is for fingering most of the time, not all the time, but. And another drill, that I encourage you to do is I like to play a lot of drills with alternating fingers. And why? Just the same with our diatonic chords. What is going to happen if we alternate our fingers? We will be alternating between the triads of our diatonic chords. If you just play a shell is another word for a chord that is not kind of complete. Often maybe an interval if you want it. Playing these shells or just these diatonic thirds is also one very fast way to harmonize the melody. Nobody says that you have to play a chord in your left to harmonize with your single note melody. We could play a C big in our just the octave. We could play that in our bass, and we could harmonize our melody with the diatonic notes, right? We don't have to play just C. We could play C major. We could play a melody that goes C, D, E, C, D, E. We could play this with a single top line, but we could also play it with these shelled thirds. Da, da, da. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. How much better does this sound than 1, 2, 3? This sounds like nothing, but this already sounds like something. La, 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 la. That is a very good exercise, because it will probably happen that you will find yourself using this exercise of a stationary hand and kind of like a pentatonic for melodies. Like say I play when we can break it up. Sometimes we will play single note melody, and sometimes we will play maybe a shell chord. Like we play a single note, shell, alternating. Let's do this in major, sorry. Sounds very classical. And also what I encourage you to do is, one exercise that I do a lot is, I like playing, I like working, getting the hand comfortable for the inversions with being on the same octave, like going from C to F over C. You're right. Da, da, ba, da, 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 and different stuff, like give your hand some quests. Give your hand quests. And then if you're bored, just play some 7 chords. So trying to put everything in context and to cheat a little bit around, it will be somewhat random, but it will not be all too unmusical. let's say we don't want to be playing our triads no more. I'm a little bit tired of triads. They have their place, but let's try to play some 7 chords. We will stay with root position for the most part, but it doesn't really matter. We're playing all the white notes. That is for our left for the most part, but in our right we want to do something. We want to be playing C major and C minor. But we want to play one more mode. That is not the pentatonic, but almost. The pentatonic is just a 5-tone scale as penta, 5, and tones. Maybe one of the oldest scales, if not the archetype of all scales. Harmonically speaking, there's a myriad of videos that explain it perfectly in a nutshell with animations and whatnot. I have to make a list of some of these resources, because why do I need to explain the wheel if other people that have probably even a better teaching background have already done that perfectly? Long story short, we play the 7th chords, but we will learn a new scale. We will learn the second best thing. The second best thing next to the diminished chord is the blues. The blues scale is everything. And also actually they are not really that far off from one another. Scale. And you know what? Just to call it a scale is kind of an insult. The blues is the blues, you know, the blues. So, the blues. How do we construct the blues scale? We can construct a major blues scale playing almost the pentatonic, which is the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, but then we skip to the 4th degree and the 6th. This is how we get the pentatonic. Our only difference with the pentatonic and the major blues is adding the flat 3. This is the only black note that we are going to use. Maybe, if so ever, we might be using the A flat, mostly just to go down. But let's try to put this in context. We are playing the diatonic chords of C major to make a beginner's blues in C. Can you play C major like so? Or we can play a much more jazzy, not the major 7, but the dominant 7. C7 is the same as saying dominant 7. The dominant is implied. And also it is just a word. Don't get crazy about it. So, but we can also play it with major. We don't have to use this one. So say, we are playing 1, 2, and we want to play some kind of soul-y blues. We learned that the blues scale in C major is going And also the same thing applies with parallel scales. If we can play the major blues with the root, second, flat 3, 3, 5, and 6, that means we should be able to play the minor blues if we start the sequence on 3 semitones below the major blues, right? Same principle applies. Let's play the minor blues. It is starting on our root A, then we go up 3 semitones, a minor third, to C, then we go to our D, And we've heard this forever. Maybe you've practiced the blues scale. That is minor and that's a major, no? Just imagine there was another A. So we are going to play the diatonic 7 chords of C major, just playing some random chords. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We want to go to the 5. Let's play the 5 first one time, and then we invert it down so we don't have to move. Let's invert it down one time. Let's invert it down one more. Oh, isn't that nice? Now it's so close together. Okay, now play. Now we can play a very simple 2-5-1, just like so. This is the 2. Then we play an inversion of our dominant 5 chord. And then we go down. This is a very, very simple, safe way to play some 2-5-7. We could, of course, say, yeah, that's not really quite real, because actually we would probably hear this. We would probably hear not the major 7, but the dominant 7. But it doesn't really matter, you know. So we have 2, 5, 1. Sounds familiar? Let's play the major blues. So we got our 2. 2 to the 5. And to our 1. Okay, let's do this again. Feels good, huh? 1. So 2, 2, 5, 5, 1. 2, 2, 5, 5, 1. 2, 2, 5, 5, 1. And when I say like 2, 2, 5, 5, 1, it is like we're doing our Roman numeral thing, right? We are going our 2 chord, D minor, 2, 2. Now we go to the 5 chord that we inverted. That is G dominant or G7, but we inverted that. And we did another inversion just to move our hands even less. So now we can go between our 2 and 5 just like forever. Yes, I go from the 2 to the 5 all time. Going from the 2 to the 5. Going from the 2 to the 5 to 5. 2, 5, 5. 2, 5, 1. Yes, I said it wouldn't sing. That's what I said. I might use this slide note as a leading tone to the minor parallel blues. This is our major blues. And when I want to hit that A, when we want to play the minor blues, we can use this as a trill also. Let me hide this, because I believe this is really practical. You can get away faking some actually legit sounding blues, in my opinion, by doing this. So we play our 2 chord, and we start on the minor blues, and we will be playing a trill with our 3 fingers, going some on G, our 5, then we have our index on A flat, which is also very special because I told you the diminished chord is the best chord. And what is this? It is a diminished 6. I mean, not the diminished 6, the scale. Okay, I will be confusing people. Let's say we played our 2-5-1. 2-5-1. So we play our major blues. 2. So we can play. Let's get comfortable with our hands. We play the 2 chords. And the blues loves trills. Yeah, I play the blues every day, night. Play the blues just okay. Da-da-ba-da-da. And you get it, like you just chop up these notes and listen to your favorite musicians. I think often when you're a key player, it's too easy to play very complex harmonies and a lot of notes that nobody could actually really sing. And to defeat that, to make it more musical again and less atonal, crazy jazz, that's why I say, even if you're not a vocalist, try to sing. Because if you are able to really kind of lead your musical idea also with your voice, it is a good index how musical it will be perceived by others. That is at least my 2 cents of common sense. Like, if you are in a niche of jazz or other more distinguished genres that need an acquired taste, of course, different rules apply, but like really basically, yeah, basic functional harmony is what is our bread and butter. The rest is really just sprinkle on top. So we will be playing this 2-5-1. We will be playing D minor, and playing. And 1 and 2, 3 and 1. And that's also the thing. Usually in jazz, we have swung 8 notes. But often sometimes, or a triplet field. A swing is when you have a count of a pulse that is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but rather that the interval pattern is, it is like, it's not equal. It's like da 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 da. It's not equals. It's right. One is long, one is short. For instance, like long shot, long shot, long shot, long shot, or in triplet counts. Triplet, tit, 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 tit. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Triplet, 1, 2, 3. 1 E and 1 E and up. 1 E and up. 1 E and up. 2 E and up. Sorry, I changed the key. And D minor, G dominant, C dominant. And you have heard this forever. Really, seriously. This is the quintessential blues. We have a 2-5-1. D minor 7. Plain and just as vanilla as it comes. D minor 7 root position. Then we have G7 over D. There's our 5. And then we're back to the 1. This is a way to get the blues instantly. So let's do this again. We go in octaves. We go just up and down the blues scale. We go. And when we reach this octave, we're gonna be doing a little trill with a pedal on. And it will sound so familiar to you. There's that slide note again that I told you about, because I'm telling you, the diminished 6 is powerful, because we could have these chords. Long story short, this is the diminished chords with these 7 notes. But what's cool about diminished chord, what I said earlier, is if we play a different scale that is exactly the major scale plus one more note, the diminished 6, looking at our 6th scale degree, which is A, the diminished 6 is of course diminished, lowered in value by 1 semitone, so we arrive at an additional note, our diminished 6th degree, that is A flat. So if we are doing the same trick that we did earlier with our 7-tone scale, C major or C Ionian, if we are now to play our diatonic chords, our whole harmony doesn't sound like this anymore. Listen to this. This is our diatonic chords in C major playing. C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, dominant 7, A minor 7, B minor 7 flat 5, and C major 7. But let's do this thing again when we play this A-tone scale, and the same thing applies. Creating the diatonic chords is skipping every other note in the scale. So now, as we have this additional note in A flat, actually, if we play this interval, it does not look like as if we had skipped a note, but in our new scale we do. I stress this because it will feel very unfamiliar if you have played 7 chords for a long time and are doing major 6 chord for the first time. So let's play our new chords with this scale. Let's find out how this scale can be used to really harmonize. Cordy calls it the major bebop. It's not wrong, but I'd rather refer to it as the diminished 6 scale. Because, yeah. Anyway, there are a couple of other names. Don't worry too much about it. So, coming from our vanilla chords, and trying to make them a little bit more legit and vintage. Let's construct these diatonic chords on our new scale, the major bebop, or diminished six, as I love to call it. Also look up Barry Harris. I will be linking a lot of his stuff. He was one excellent piano educator and pianist, obviously. So our new chords sound like this. We don't have F major 7 as our first chord. Now we have F major 6. What is our 2 chord? Our 2 chord is not D minor anymore, but D diminished 7. we have D diminished 7. So our first 2 chords don't sound like this, but like this. Let's continue. What's our 3 chord? Our 3 chord is not E minor anymore. E minor 7, that is. Our new chord is, yeah, you guessed it right. It is a C major 6 again. So we can find out that it kind of flip-flops in between. We have a major 6. We have a diminished chord. We have an inversion of a major 6. We have a diminished chord. And then we have another inversion of a major 6. Then we have a diminished chord. Then we have a minor 7, and also look at this. So we have A minor 7. What will happen to this chord if we invert it? If we invert this chord up, putting our A in the top, what has this chord become? It has become our root chord. It is back to C major 6. So we understand a major 6 is not really that different from sorry, I'm noodling. Sorry, messed up. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this fast. No, not fast. I'm trying to do this without making mistakes or losing anybody. So let's do this again structured. In C major or C Ionian, our diatonic chords, 7 chords sound C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G dominant, A minor 7, B diminished, B minor 7 flat 5. Okay. And our new chords with our new mode, we get new chords. This is C major 6, our 1 chord. Now we have D diminished 7. And we have an inversion of C major 6 over E. We get diminished 7, major 6, dim 7, minor 7, diminished 6. So major 6, diminished, major 6, diminished, major 6, diminished, minor 7, diminished, major 6. This is how we can go about playing these in root position. And if we combine this with the blues, and this is why I say blues also is a modal mixture. The blues is when we look at our major pentatonic cue. The blues is a modal mixture because like we have the major third, but what does the blues scale also include? It includes the minor third. What happens if we play a minor third? Well, we get a minor sound characteristic. So what does it tell us about the blues? It has both the major and the minor thing in there, and very often with these slides. Or these slides. Okay, so our diatonic chords would be now. Or the blues scale. You know what you see what I'm doing, I guess. So, you know. We go from the flat 3 to the 4 to the 5 to the 6. Flat 3, 4, 5, 6. You've heard this forever and ever, I'm quite sure of it. Let's play this over C7. I'm quite sure you heard this also. That is a very classical blues riff. C minor to F over C. And here often, depending on context, I will be playing this shell of a 7 without a 3. Sometimes I will be playing it with my pinky on the flat 7. But sometimes I will be playing it with my middle finger on the flat 7, depending on context, because maybe I want to go up. And if I want to play an arpeggio, maybe, if I want to play Depending what is the note that I want to reach, right? Even though I remain here, I can remain there, but maybe I have a reason to go there because anyway. I hope it was interesting. I think we should be taking a break here. I was babbling back and forth. Sometimes there were a lot of people, sometimes we had less people. And one thing I really can't do, as I said, I'm not really good at explaining and playing. My brain is often jumping like bad voice leading. I try to improve that. But I will be taking a break now. I can't guarantee if I come back. We might, but I have to pee now. I wish you all a happy practice. That was a good session. It was fun. Let me get my cam. That was a good session. That was a good session. I hope it was... Yeah, I hope it was fun and educational. Let's resume this after a little bit more of a longer break, presumably maybe even tomorrow. If you do have questions, annotations, anything, let me know in the comments, or you can hop on Discord and write me there, whatever. Like, really give me the good, the bad, the ugly. The more I do it, the better I can get at it. Like, I'm trying to teach myself. I'm not here teaching you. We're teaching ourselves. We're kind of a study group, like kind of like self-help music theory, I guess. Peace. Stay funky, just groove it. May the muse be with you. Happy creating.